Hey everyone, I hope your evening went well. Um, we've got rain here in Tennessee, and it seems like every day we're seeing more and more accidents. So please be careful when you're driving. The roads are slippery, people are crazy. Just kind of, slow down. You'll get there. That's my whole philosophy. I'll get there. I'd rather get there late than, you know, have an issue. So today we are on our very last chapter of Kit's Surprise, which I call her Christmas story, and I'm going to get right into it. If you remember so far, Kit had a fight with Ruthie, and they're not talking to each other. Kit has to take care of her Uncle Hendrik, and she's saving the money she gets from being with him to give to her mom as a Christmas present to pay the electric bill. So let's see what happens in this last chapter. So it's chapter 4, and it's called Jewels. Whish! A harsh wind blew slate. Sorry, guys. A harsh wind blew sleet into Kit's face. She hunched her shoulders and wrapped her arms tightly around Uncle Hendrik's library books to keep them dry. It was Christmas Eve morning, and even a long list of errands and nasty weather could not dampen Kit's spirits. I bet this sleet will turn into snow, she thought. How perfect it'll be. So crazy to have dinner next to the Christmas tree. Oh, sorry, let me start that again, guys. How perfect. It'll be so cozy to have dinner next to the Christmas tree. Kit's family had not had time to put up their Christmas tree yet, but Kit was not worried. As soon as she was finished at Uncle Hendrik's this afternoon, she'd hurry home and help Dad and Charlie put up the tree and decorate it. Kit skipped with happiness, thinking of how surprised everyone would be when she gave Mom the money she had earned, $2.40, enough to pay the electric bill. She had earned the last 35 cents by selling Uncle Hendrik's rags to the rag man. Now the boarders wouldn't leave, she thought. Now we can light the Christmas tree lights, and our tree will be as beautiful as ever. Kit let herself into Uncle Hendrik's house. Inky barked at her as she climbed the stairs and nipped at her feet. As she went into Uncle Hendrik's room, "Stop that, Inky," said Kit. But the irritating dog would not settle down. He was restless all morning, prowling from window to window. Whenever the sleet clattered against the glass, sounding like a handful of thrown pebbles, Inky barked. Every once in a while there'd be a loud crack, when a tree limb weighed down by a heavy coating of ice would snap. Inky howled whenever that happened. When it was time for Inky's walk after lunch, the sleet still hadn't turned to snow. The dog stubbornly refused to go out, so Kit had to carry him squirming and howling out the back door. "Go ahead and howl," she said to him. "Even you can't ruin this day for me, you horrible dog." She shivered as she waited for Inky to come back inside. It was bitterly cold, and the sleet showed no signs of stopping. Kit rubbed her arms with her hands. She tilted her head to look at the sky. It looked gray and hard, as if it too were encased in ice. At last it was time for Kit to go home. She hurried into her coat and put her book bag on her back. She knew it was going to be a difficult and slippery walk home, and she was anxious to get started. "Goodbye," she said to Uncle Hendrik. "We'll see you tomorrow." Uncle Hendrik was much better, so he planned to take a cab to the Kendricks' house for Christmas Day. "What? Oh, yes, of course," said Uncle Hendrik. "Go along now, and close the door carefully behind you. I don't want it bringing in this wind." "Yes, sir," said Kit joyfully. She pounded down the stairs and opened the door. A cruel blast of wind pushed so hard against her that she stumbled back. She bent her head forward, burying her chin in her collar, and pulled the door closed behind her. Ice slashed at her cheeks and stung her eyes. The street lights were lit, and the street looked eerily beautiful. The tree branches were shiny with ice and glittered as if they were made of diamonds. Kit took a step forward, and her feet flew out from under her. She landed hard on her bottom, so hard that she saw stars. Gingerly, Kit rolled to her hands and knees and tried to stand. She clutched at the iron railing that fenced Uncle Hendrik's yard, and inched her way forward to the sidewalk. It was slow going, and when the iron railing ended and there was nothing to hold on to, Kit fell again. This time she cracked her elbow so badly she winced with pain. Kit, Kit blinked back tears. She struggled to her feet again and tried to skate forward, but it was no use. For every step forward she managed to take, she seemed to slip backward twice as far. If she couldn't make any headway on the flat ground, there was no way she could get up the steep hill home or even the streetcar stop. Kit's coat was beaded with pearls of ice, and ice trickled down the back of her neck. Her feet were so numb they were heavy as lead. Sadly, Kit fought her way back to Uncle Hendric's house and let herself inside. Oh, sorry, guys, my nose wants to sneeze. What are you doing here? Uncle Hendrick snapped as he saw her. It's too slippery out, said Kit. May I wait here till the sleet stops? Uncle Hendrick peered out the window. It's not going to stop tonight, he announced, sounding pleased to give such bad news. You'll have to stay the night. Oh, no, wailed Kit. I can't. It's Christmas Eve. I have to get home. Don't be ridiculous, barked Uncle Hendrick. Stop whining. There's nothing to be done. You'll have to call your family and tell them you're staying here tonight. I can't, said Kit. Why not? Asked Uncle Hendrick impatiently. Our phone's not connected anymore, said Kit. Couldn't pay the bill, I suppose, said Uncle Hendrick sourly. Typical. Well, then you'll have to call someone who can go to your house and tell your parents where you are. Call a neighbor or a friend. A friend. Now Kit's heart felt as heavy and laden as her feet. There was only one person she could call, and that was the last person on earth she wanted to call. But Kit had no choice. She went to the phone. Reluctantly, she made the call. Maybe her mother will answer, she thought. But no, when the voice on the other end of the line said hello, Kit knew who it was right away. Ruthie, she said, it's me. Kit spoke all in a rush. I know you're mad at me, but don't hang up. You don't have to talk to me. I wouldn't have called, but I'm stuck at my Uncle Hendrick's house. It's too icy, and I can't get home. I need you to tell my parents I'm spending the night at Uncle Hendrick's, okay? There was a pause. Okay, said Ruthie. She sounded very far away. Wait, Ruthie, said Kit. One more thing. I wanted to say, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. The line got all crinkly, and Inky started to bark and jump up on Kit, so she couldn't hear if Ruthie said anything or not. Finally, Kit hung up. The room Kit was supposed to sleep in was as cold as a tomb and about as cheery. It had brown wallpaper. The bed was huge, with a headboard that had wooden gargoyles carved into it. The blankets were mustard color and musty smelling. They were heavy, but somehow they didn't keep Kit warm, even though she pulled them up to her nose. No coal fire had been lit in the fireplace for a long, long time. If we were evicted from our house and we have to come and live with Uncle Hendrick, will this be my room? Kit wondered and shuddered. I'd rather live in a dungeon. For endless hours, Kit lay stiffly and miserably, listening to the ice pelt against the window and the wind rage and the house creak and shift. She thought about all that she was missing at home. By now they would have finished decorating the tree. It probably looked very nice, though most likely Dad wouldn't have put any lights on it. He didn't know they were going to be able to pay the electric bill. He didn't know about Kit's surprise. A lump rose in Kit's throat. Just then she heard scratching at her door. Kit hid her head under the covers, but it was no use. The scratching only grew louder, and now Kit heard whimpering too. She tiptoed across the freezing floor and opened the door a crack. Suddenly something pushed against it. A dark streak bolted across the floor and leaped up under her bed. It was Inky. Kit climbed back into bed, and Inky curled up next to her. This has got to be the worst Christmas Eve anyone has ever had, Kit thought. No one deserves a Christmas Eve as lonely as this, not even Inky. Kit felt so forlorn. She was actually glad for horrible old Inky's smelly, snuffly company. At least he was warm. After a while, Kit fell asleep. It seemed as if no time at all had passed before a sound woke her up. It was the most peculiar thing. Kit was sure she heard jingle bells. She opened her eyes and realized it was morning. The light in the room was murky because of the heavy curtains drawn shut in front of the windows. Kit got up and pulled the curtains open. Suddenly the room was flooded with dazzling light. The sun shining on the dripping, melting ice outside made prim, prim, sorry, made prisms of light swim and shimmer on the walls. The sound of the jingle bells were louder. Kit looked out the window, squinting because the bright light was so blinding. She blinked. She couldn't believe what she saw outside on the sidewalk. Ruthie and Ruthie's father were standing next to their big black car, jingling bells and looking up at the house. Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas, shouted Ruthie when she saw Kit's face at the window. We've come to rescue you. Hurry up and come down. Kit rose up on her toes in happiness. She banged on the window. I'll be right there, she yelled. She slept in her clothes, so all she had to do was yank on her shoes, which she did, hopping on one foot and then the other before she dashed down the stairs. She flung open the door and ran straight to Ruthie. Oh, Ruthie, she said, I've never been so happy to see anyone in my life. Thank you for helping me. Ruthie smiled. That's what friends are for, she said. Kit smiled too. Friends, she thought happily. When Uncle Hendrik was ready, Mr. Smittens drove them all, including Inky, to the Kittredges' house. Though most of the ice had melted, the roads were slippery, and it was slow going up the hill. Mr. Smittens skidded as he turned into the Kittredges' driveway, but he pulled the car as close to the house as possible. The front door flew open. Mother, Dad, Charlie, and all the boarders poured out, calling, Hooray! And Merry Christmas! And Kit, we missed you. When Kit jumped out of the car, everyone tried to hug her at once. I'll come back this evening to give you a ride home, sir, Mr. Smitten said to Uncle Hendrik. Just before she went inside, Kit turned and waved goodbye to Ruthie. Thanks again. See you later, she called. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, Ruthie called back cheerily, waving through the car window. A Merry Christmas it was, too, as merry as any Kit had ever known. Dad surprised Kit with her typewriter, fixed and as good as new, and Charlie gave her a box of typing paper. In the typewriter there was a piece of paper that said, For Kit, Merry Christmas, with Luvo, Fum, Dad, and Charlie. From Kit, for Kit, Merry Christmas with love from Dad and Charlie. So they typed it with the wrong letters and they retyped it, if you're wondering. It's okay. Mother had a surprise for Kit, too. It was a little black Scotty pin. It was given to me when I was your age, said Mother, with a twinkle in her eye. I thought you might like it. Now that Uncle Hendrik is feeling better, you won't be seeing Inky quite as often. At the sound of his name, Inky started barking. Kit grinned at Mother. Thanks, Mother, she said over Inky's ruckus. But the best surprise by far was Kit's surprise. Kit waited until she and her mother were alone in the kitchen, mixing up a batch of waffles. We'll eat next to the tree, said Mother. She smiled, a small smile. I'm sure it'll be lovely as ever, though I'm sorry we can't have any lights on the tree this year. It just seemed too extravagant since we can't pay the electric bill. Oh, yes, we can, said Kit happily. She handed Mother a handkerchief full of coins. Here's $2.40. Kit's mother looked at the money in disbelief. For heaven's sake, she said, where did this come from, Kit? From Uncle Hendrik, said Kit. I earned it. Mother laughed aloud. Kit Kittredge, she said, there never was a girl like you. Wait till I tell your father. He'll be just as proud of you as I am. She threw her arms around Kit and hugged her close. I hope you're proud of yourself, too. Kit was. At dusk, Ruthie and her father came back. Kit and Ruthie presented the scarves they had knitted to their fathers, who didn't seem to mind that the scarves had no fringe. Then Mr. Smittens drove Uncle Hendrik and Inky home, and Kit walked Ruthie back to her house. They were quiet for a little while. Then Kit said, almost shyly, Uncle Hendrik is all better. Would you like to go window shopping tomorrow? Sure, said Ruthie. The little Scotty pin my mother gave me will look really nice on the collar of your red dress, said Kit. That is, if you don't mind if I borrow it. It was too dark to see Ruthie's face, but Kit could tell that she was smiling. Kit went on to say, that was awful nice of you to give the ballet tickets to Mrs. Hart and her boyfriend and Mrs. Finney and Mr. Peck. We can write about the romantic date in our newspaper, said Ruthie, now that your dad fixed your typewriter. I bet you'll be glad to be writing again. I bet you missed it while you were at your uncle's. Well, said Kit. She hesitated. Then she said, Ruthie, I have sort of a present for you. It isn't store-bought or anything, but I made it for you. I hope you like it." Kit pulled a thick envelope out of her coat pocket and handed it to Ruthie. "Merry Christmas," she said. Ruthie opened the envelope and took out Skirling's sketch pad. "The Story of Princess Ruthie," she read out loud from the cover. She looked at the pages. Kit had written a story to go with Skirling's sketches of Ruthie as a princess. "Oh, Kit," said Ruthie, "thank you. I know I'll love it. No one ever wrote a book for me before, and one about a princess, too." "She's a generous princess," said Kit, "just like you. In fact, she is you. I was thinking of you the whole time I was writing about her." "This is kind of funny," said Ruthie. "Wait till you see the present my mom and I made for you." Ruthie took a small package wrapped in tissue paper out of her coat pocket and handed it to Kit. Kit unwrapped it and grinned from ear to ear. Ruthie had given her a doll that looked just like Amelia Earhart. The doll was dressed in a flight cap and jacket and gloves, just like the ones Amelia Earhart had worn in the newsreel. And she had the same good-humored, eager smile, too. "Thanks, Ruthie," Kit said. "This is the nicest present you could possibly have given me. You're a good friend." "You're a good friend, too," said Ruthie. "I can't wait to read my princess story. See you tomorrow." "Bye," said Kit. "Merry Christmas." Kit watched Ruthie run up the driveway and go into the house. Then she turned around to walk home. When she saw her own house down the street, she gasped in surprise. "Oh, how beautiful," she whispered. While she'd been walking Ruthie home, Dad and Charlie had put the lights on the Christmas tree. The lights were lit, and through the window they glowed as brightly as jewels. Kit stood in the cold and stared at her family's house, where every happy Christmas of her life had taken place. "This may be the last Christmas we'll have in our house," she thought, feeling a bittersweet joy. "But it's one I'll never forget. It may even have been the very best Christmas of all." I hope you guys enjoyed Kit's surprise, her Christmas story. I hope that you hopefully listen to it with your moms or your dads, or another family member, and maybe you're talking a little bit about Kit's experience during the Depression during Christmas time. I always like to adopt a child or adopt a family at Christmas. Even when we don't have very much, I always like to give a little. There's a few things we're thinking about for next year, and we'll keep you guys in the loop about giving. That's my one thing I want to do next year is really give more, whether it be volunteering, doing something more. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for all that you do for us. We appreciate you, your kindness, your kind words, even your little likes, which is free. When you push that little button, we do appreciate it, guys. Appreciate your comments. Appreciate your when you subscribe. Again, it's something free you can do at Christmas time. As you know, our goal was to hit 500 by the end of this year. If we hit it, I will be amazed. If we hit 400, I'll be ecstatic. We're in the 330s right now. But guys, thank you so much. Enjoy your day. Be safe out there, because like I said, the roads, at least here in Tennessee, are slippery, and I'm seeing way too many accidents. Watch also for the animals. We have been seeing more and more deer so far this winter. I guess they're cold and they're looking for places to go. So again, be kind to yourself, be kind to others, like, subscribe, and we'll see you on the flip side. Bye, guys.